Audiences Part 2, as was explained to me, considers how audiences are trained to watch movies according to seasonal release plans and patterns of marketing sales in society, which means dealing with censorship practices. Now, my mind unintentionally sort of eschewed the part about censorship, and I just kind of got stuck on the seasonal release plans and patterns of marketing, right? So my alternative for this film was Christmas Eve in Miller's Point from 2024, which was this really unassuming, tiny little Christmas movie that came out, and it played for like a week, and nobody saw it, and a couple of people that did see it, most people hated it. I was turned on to it because it said starring Gregg Turkington, who is a comedian that I'm a big fan of, who is probably more well-known as Neil Hamburger. But if you're on Cinema at the Cinema fan, you know who Gregg Turkington is, and he's not in a ton of stuff. So I was like, Gregg Turkington, like in a Christmas movie. I'm like, I gotta see this. Because Christmas movies are like a weird thing, right? Because everybody's got the ones they like. But oftentimes, like, I have a lot of problems with really the ones that like a lot of people like. White Christmas is terrible. That movie is just atrocious, and the songs are bad. That Sisters song, if I never hear that song for the rest of my life, it'll be too soon. Anyways, this Christmas film, it does have like a narrative, but it also has this kind of dreamlike quality. It centers on this family, but it's like a bunch of kind of like random scenes, and in a kind of provincial way, because it's set like in the East Coast, like wherever the hell Miller's Point is, it's somewhere like in the East Coast, and it's set like in the 70s or something. But it just was like, it was unlike any Christmas movie like I really have ever seen.
For me, I took the direction of censorship practices, audience restrictions, how it's marketed to specific groups of people. So, for my birth year, 1973, the movie I would share on this topic is The Devil and Miss Jones. We should see X-rated material in any useful survey of film studies.
Well, they used to have stories back then.
Right. Well, and it's just one of the big things that is underanalyzed as a serious component of audiovisual culture. And when I say serious, I mean there are lots of desires that are expressed in such movies. Obviously, that's their whole point. But there's a huge business apparatus connected with them. And in a movie from this classic era of the early age of pornography in cinema, on celluloid, there was an approach to make things more serious, more like the conventional values of what Hollywood presented.
Like Jack Horner espouses in Boogie Nights. He's not, he's trying to make films.
I'm trying to do my life's work.
Right.
I'm committing art. It just happens to have the penis goes in. When I flip over and think about the Under the Tent Pole project that I like to share with people, I have a title I like to reuse, and I first watched this alongside you in our little movie watching group on Saturdays, and it is the French movie The Intouchables. I have such a fond memory of that, and I've watched it in company of friends, and I've watched it with students live, and I make people watch it through distance learning because I have a free copy I can give them, and that's always useful. Free is a great number. But what I like to use as an illustration in that movie is not only is it a buddy picture you're not expecting, an upright African immigrant to France who is a low-level criminal who gets a job being a caregiver for a wealthy white man who can't move his body from the neck down. Who wants to see that?
Right.
Well, eventually it becomes remade in America. But more importantly, it became a huge hit outside of North America, earning upwards of $440 million before it ever found an audience here in the States.
Right.
And I was an audience who found it non-theatrically. So it's a note that movies sometimes appear not in their suggested circumstance, but nonetheless kind of find an audience quite unexpectedly, and that was my experience of The Intouchables. Boop boopity doo.